it's a huge part of our history, without a doubt.
I'm certainly going around going, yeah, I called it.
The players will be absolutely buzzing in the dressing room after the game.
Brentford dominated the game massively for me.
Welcome to the pre-match pint with London Pride. This smile has not left my face all week. I'm still celebrating, so I've just popped out 4-1. Do you get that? Hey, 4-1 with my mates, Natalie Sawyer, Brentford women's gaffer, Carly Osborne, and look at this. What a guest!
I know.
Brentford B head coach, Neil MacFarlane. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Pleasure.
Look, we're here at the Fuller's Brewery and Tap Room down in Chiswick. Bees fans, get yourself down here for 10% off, and you can also get that online with the code PREMATCHPINT10. Before we start, I just want to raise a little toast to Shandon Baptiste. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Shandon,
Happy
only
birthday,
23 years of age. Unbelievable.
It's a long time ago since I was 23.
Right, it feels like there's only one place we can start. Stamford Bridge, last Saturday. Natalie, you called it.
Well, I didn't call it specifically 4-1 to Brentford, but I felt as though we'd get something out of it. Just because, you know, the recent games we've been playing well, even just before when we lost to Leicester, you know, probably deserved something out of that game. We were coming up against a Chelsea side that, you know, I always think an international break can ruin momentum for certain teams, and I just felt it was a good time to be playing them. So I thought we'd get something out of it. Did I think we'd win 4-1 and win so emphatically? No, but I'll take it. And I'm certainly going around going, yeah, I called it.
I only saw 2 goals, so it was a 2-0 win to me. But Carly, sometimes you can get caught up in the hyperbole of this.
Yeah.
Is this our
That's a
best
big word.
ever? I know that was a
Big word.
It just popped in as well.
That's huge for me, by the way. Thrown me. Thrown me
Is
right
this
off
our
guard.
best? That's serious.
Sorry.
Is this our best ever result?
It's definitely up there. I would say it's probably, around best ever league result. I think obviously sometimes results can depend on where clubs are at those times. But in terms of, you know, the magnitude of obviously, you know, where Chelsea are and where we were perceived to be in our journey and things like that, it's a huge part of our history, without a doubt.
Neil, you were there obviously, and naturally a lot of when there's a result like this, everyone talks about it. It's been everywhere. Match of the day, every news article is about us and about the game, but it's a lot of it is how Chelsea lost rather than how Brentford won. I kind of you kind of get that a little bit. But how did Brentford win that day?
Well, I personally don't think that is the case. I think it's how we approached the game. I thought our attitude from the off was fantastic. You know, we pressed them high in the first 10-15 minutes of the game. We had numerous opportunities to score and had real good momentum in the game. Towards the end of the first half, it was a little bit more even. Then they obviously scored at the start of the second half, but our response is fantastic. And from that moment forward, when Vitaly equalised, I could only see one winner. The way we broke at speed, the transitions, and on the counter-attack, we looked a real threat, and it was a thoroughly deserved victory.
Neil mentioned him there, Natalie, Vitaly. What a week. Getting a new contract. 500 grand apparently. I don't
Steal.
know. Actually. That is, I mean, I was trying to think, has been a bigger bargain in, I mean,
No, I mean,
partly on a free because he came through the youth.
Sure.
We'll take that one. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. But no, absolutely. For £500,000 and what he's now doing in that Brentford team, he's been brilliant. And you know, when he first broke into the team because of Christian Norgaard's injury, you kind of thought, oh, he's just going to be filling in. But my goodness, he took to the team so well. And then it became a debate of, well, how does Christian Norgaard get back into the team? And yeah, I mean, those 2 goals that he scored at Stamford Bridge were fantastic. They'll live long in the memory for him, no doubt. But yeah, 500 grand, that's good business once again by Brentford.
And Neil, not a lot of people will remember this, but you kind of gave him his first start in a Brentford shirt, didn't you, at Aldershot?
It seems a long time ago. and he's came a long way since then, as last Saturday proved. But again, that's the project within the B team to prepare them when they come into the country like Vitaly did, or whether coming back from injury or needing game time, to make sure that when they go up to the training they're ready for Thomas, and then obviously stepping into the matches. And like I said, his attitude, you could see it was phenomenal that day at Aldershot, the way he approached the game. He just needed more minutes, and then gradually as those minutes have came, he's been a fantastic player for us this season.
Unbelievable, isn't he? And 2 other people that I thought, well, look, everyone was unbelievable, but for 2 strikers not to score but have such an impact and an influence on the game. Carly, being a defender, What did they do that just terrorised that Chelsea defence on Saturday?
They were just kind of relentless in the work that they did. They were relentless off the ball in, setting the press and forcing Chelsea to make mistakes or having to rush their decisions. But then when the ball came into them, they looked after it well and they worked really well together as a pair. It was a lot closer and stuff. They fed off each other really well. And in particular for me with Brian, I just felt like his decision making was really good, and he just made the right decisions quickly and often.
Do you know what? I mean, to me, it looked like they've really worked on it at the training ground, that kind of that link-up play, and we saw that they had gone back to training fairly early, probably in that international break, a lot of the players, and it just made you feel like what we saw at Stamford Bridge was all the kind of stuff they've been working on in the build-up to that game, and it's just really impressive.
Yeah, Neil mentioned it earlier with setting the tone for the press and stuff like that. They really did do that from minute one, I thought, and you could see it had been worked on.
You said just before we started filming it reminded you of a few performances at the start of the season, didn't it, with those two in particular?
Yeah, like I said, the closeness that they play together and the combinations that they deliver have been fantastic again this season. And I think Vitaly's second goal mirrored that, the way obviously they were close together in the link up and the direct ball up, and then the pass through from Ivan, and then that deep runner from Vitaly. So the combinations that we were playing at Chelsea were a joy to watch at times, and like I said, that does come from the training ground. Thomas relentless on the training grounds in terms of in and out of possession, and it's bearing fruits.
As a head coach, when you see something that you've worked on like that in the training ground come to fruition, not only on the pitch but at the world champions, like, how does that feel when you stood there in the technical area?
Well, that's why we train. That's why you're there every single day to improve the players individually, improve the team, and that was a real team performance against Chelsea. There was nobody performed below par, and you have to do that to get that level of result against that level of opposition. So it's brilliant to see work coming from the training ground, but also to see the team performance, the work ethic, everything that typifies Brentford over the last few seasons that I've been here. It was, as I go back to saying, it was a thoroughly deserved win.
It was another of those moments that just made you proud to be a fan now,
Oh,
wasn't it? It was
absolutely. And it's the one time I haven't gone to a Chelsea game.
I didn't want to say that, but
we win so convincingly. But I had a prior engagement, so I couldn't go. But I was absolutely gutted. But managed to catch it on the TV because I was abroad, so that's why I was able to catch it.
Carly, again, being a player in that changing room, what would you be feeling at full time?
Well,
apart from the adulation and the excitement, but like longer term and stuff, what would it do?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone will be a little bit different. Some might be in a little bit of disbelief, not expecting the result and the performance and it coming together so well. But immense pride. I think the confidence would have grown immensely within the group as well. And I suppose a real understanding that when you perform at that level, those are the rewards you get. Because ultimately, I know it's been said that Chelsea, didn't perform great, but Brentford stopped them from performing as well. And I think that needs to be noted and needs to be mentioned because they really did. Chelsea struggled and didn't know what to do. I thought first half they struggled. They had a period in the second half, but after that, Brentford dominated the game massively for me.
Yeah, I think that's entirely true because also in recent weeks as well, we were playing 4-3-3. We had reverted to that. And then Thomas obviously played 3-5-2, and that game plan worked a T on Saturday. And like you said, they carried out the game plan to the letter, and that's what you want to see. The players are really ingrained, and no matter what no matter what the system is, the principles remain the same. And as I said, they were fantastic at the weekend.
So what would you be saying in that change room as a head coach after a win like that? Because I got carried away as a fan, but I know, look, I get carried away quite easily about a lot of things, but it is easy to get carried away, isn't it?
Oh, as Thomas mentioned quite a number of times this season, the 24-hour rule, getting the feet on the ground and getting back to work, obviously ahead of the game against West Ham at the weekend. But I think it's important to enjoy that type of result when you're a player. They don't come around every single day, and the magnitude of the opposition and the win. The players will be absolutely buzzing in the dressing room after the game, and then come Monday it's back to that work that we talked about on the training ground and the preparation for obviously West Ham. But yeah, you've got to enjoy those types of wins.
Yeah, well, on West Ham, Natalie, we come into this second in the London Derby's league table. Do you know that? So really Chelsea are top, we're second, and then Palace, West Ham, Arsenal. So also we have played 2 more games than West Ham and Arsenal. A big reunion, of course, with side Benrahma. Obviously we saw him in pre-season in the friendly, but how will you feel as a fan when you see him walk into that stadium
Do you know,
in a West Ham shirt?
Even just throughout this season, watching him in a West Ham shirt, I still feel immense pride watching him because, you know, we've been so much a part of that journey for him to come over to England and give him that opportunity and obviously he was brilliant for us, and now he's moved into the Premier League with West Ham, and you know, he's a player that I didn't want us to lose because he was so influential. He's a player that you knew could just spark a game if needed, and he'll get a great reception because he still speaks so fondly of us as well, which I think is lovely. You know, there are some players that do come and go that, you know, you don't really have much affection for, but I think Syed just has, I think fans have just an affection for him because he went through a lot of things obviously during his time at the club, and we supported him, and I think everyone just loves him, and I think he'll get a great reception.
Yeah, and you saw him obviously very up close and personal at the training ground now. Why is he so good apart from the tricks and the flicks? Because there's more to him than that, isn't there?
Yeah, he's a hugely talented footballer.
Yeah.
It was in the first season at the club, and I thought that front three of himself, Brian and Ollie were terrific in the final days of Griffin Park, and some of the level of football that they were playing was outstanding. And obviously he's moved on, and he's been part of a front four of West Ham that's very, very potent at times. So listen, he's a terrific footballer. He's got the ability to assist and score, and like Natalie says, he should get a good welcome when he comes back because he was part of the last few years as we've grown and built to this particular moment.
Yeah, and there's another semi-reunion, I'm going to call it, because Mikhail Antonio comes back and he played a couple of games on trial, and Carly, you were there at the time.
Yeah, I was. I might have even played right back behind him as he played right wing, I think, because those times I could run, so sometimes used as a fullback.
What was he like when he was on trial?
He was good as gold in terms of a real good attitude and a real nice guy. I think it's always hard when you come on trial sometimes because you don't know the team. Obviously, it's pre-season as well, so the team are kind of working out where they're at. But he came and tried to do things. It didn't work out for him. But listen, one thing he did is he didn't let that kind of define what was going to happen for him in terms of his football, because he's gone on and had an unbelievable career, and he kept going and kept working hard. And credit to him because he wanted it. Yeah,
and look, the easy thing to hear is go, oh, we should have just signed him, but let's not remember he didn't just go from us to where he is now. But how important is he to West Ham, Natalie?
Oh, I mean, they talk about him all the time when he's missing, and they always talk about how do you fill the void that Mikhail Antonio leaves in that team when he's not playing. He's been hugely pivotal to their success, but as Neil's pointed out, there's a whole array of attacking talent in that West Ham side, and that's something that David Moyes has been building. It's not just those attacking players, they've got a solid defence, they've got a great midfield. Obviously we know what Declan Rice can do in the West Ham team. It's a team littered with stars, and that's exactly why they are where they are in the league and competing for Europe and doing really well in the Europa League right now. So, we can't just say it's all about Mikhail Antonio, because it's not. This is a team that is, as I say, littered with stars.
It's an exciting game. There's also another exciting game on Tuesday night. Neil, Brentford B, the first of two cup finals coming up. Tell us a bit more about Tuesday's game.
I'm hugely proud of the group, first and foremost, to make two finals in one season, and I think it's reflective of the level of performances they've been putting in. And again, we mentioned it today, that comes from the work on the training ground and being relentless every day to improve. And they're seeing that naturally through the course of a season get better and better all the time in terms of the performances. And it's something that they are hugely looking forward to. First game against Barnet next Tuesday in the cup final, and then another one against Hendon to come. And the biggest thing is that we're giving them different experiences. So the other night they had to play in a semi-final, that's a different experience. How they handle a cup final come next Tuesday, that's another experience. And like we were speaking about earlier on, the variety of our games programme, we're looking for performances first and foremost to develop these young players. But like anything, they want to win, we want to win, and winning's part of their development as well. So hopefully come next Tuesday they can put on, first and foremost, a good performance and then come out on the right end of the result.
It's no matter what, it's been an amazing season, hasn't it? It is always a hard question to throw at someone, but have you got any highlights and how special has it been? Because you've been here a while now, and how does it compare to other seasons?
Well, every season's naturally progressed through the months, and when you get to that January towards the end of the season, you can really see the team flourish and carrying out what you want from them. But this season there seems to be something even more special in terms of the group. They're a really, really close group, and they've delivered some unbelievable performances. And the good thing this season is we've had the tours back, obviously post-COVID, and that's been a massive factor. You know, we were lucky enough to compete in the Atlantic Cup and beat Bromby's first team, which was a sensational result for our young group of players, but also played against more first teams out there. And then we've came back, and like you said, we've had these cups and been involved in different games against National League teams and National League South teams, and then still dipped into playing the elite academy teams as well. So we've had a terrific season, some unbelievable results, and both from an individual perspective and a team perspective, it keeps growing, and just hopefully now we can finish the season strongly.
Amazing. Carly, listening to that and seeing the B team project, cast yourself back to 16 years ago, coming through the ranks at Brentford. You'd be all over that when you're playing in the B team.
Yeah.
Testing yourself against a variety of different sides and players.
Without a doubt. I mean, you know, if I'm thinking about when I was 16, like everything is about learning and development, and the amount of learning and development they'll be getting from playing so many different types of teams, different types of players, different types of formation, having to adjust with different tactics, things like that will be huge. And I would imagine that you get so much more of a well-rounded footballer at a much earlier age with that experience.
Yeah, definitely, because they're not all going to play for Brentford's first team. Yeah. We were quite open about that. But we've also got to, first and foremost, make them a good human being so that when they leave here, they can continue with their life. And then also, from a playing perspective, try and give them everything so that, as I said, if it's not at Brentford, it's hopefully within the league, in English leagues or abroad or whatever, and they continue to go in their career, because you know, we're getting them at 17, 18, 19 years of age, and hopefully there's another 15 years of their career left. So, as I said, I think that the project has worked for this club. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right for every single club, but for our club, I think it's definitely worked.
And one man it seems to be working very well for at the moment is Nathan Young-Coombes. I know you won't want to speak too much about individuals, but as a fan, he's a name that I see a lot, and I've been lucky enough to see bits and bobs from the B team this year, and he seems like a hell of a player. Tell me more about Nathan Young-Coombes.
Well, like I said, the team's been unbelievable this year as the team, and like in the team, you obviously need certain departments of your team to really perform over the course of the season. And from a striker's perspective, Nathan's 28 goals this season, and he's a really infectious character. You know, every single day in the training ground, he's loud, he's energetic, and if you watch his game, you know, he's on the front foot, he's wanting to press from the front, and he's everything that we want within our style of play. And like I said, of his 28 goals, probably half of them he has probably scored from that high energy, high press, gaining the ball at the top end of the pitch, and he's had some terrific finishes this year.
Can you liken him to anybody?
Yeah, he's a little bit in terms of like Ollie was, in terms of like say go after the back line, you go back after opposition defenders and make their life a misery, put them under pressure, force them into mistakes. He's that type of player. He's not the type of player that, if you look at this season, say for instance an Ivan, who is concentrated on link and that combinations that we talked about. So every single player is different, but he really plays to his strength, and he can be hugely proud, like the team this season, on his efforts.
And how big do you think this has been in his long-term development coming here to Brentford B at the moment?
I think he'll tell you the same. I think it's massive for him. You know, he came from Rangers, and like a lot of the players that come into the B team, you know, we've got to push them to another level, because there's something obviously that's happened at the previous club that's brought them to our project. And when we looked at Nathan way back at the start, I like a lot of our players, we start right at the first building block and get the basis of fitness, and really push them through the course of pre-season to get fitter than he's ever been in his life, and that's what we do with all the group. And then from his perspective, then you move on to the technical, the tactical aspects, and like I've just mentioned, in terms of the energies suiting his style of the game. But like I said, relationships are two ways. You know, they have to be reciprocal. If he doesn't buy into it, he doesn't get the season he's had. And like I said, that's the same for him and all the boys. They've been absolutely magnificent.
There's a lot of big personalities, isn't there? Because we've been lucky enough, thanks to you guys opening it up to us on these tours, and we've got an insight that maybe we wouldn't have got to see other many clubs. And what amazed me is when we see these change room shots, is how many different voices, and maybe players that like more the flair players or the creative players that you wouldn't expect to be getting involved and chipping in and stuff. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think that's what makes a good team. You know, but also as well, again, with the age that we have these young players, it's important to build their character. And again, that access that you're talking about was in Portugal. So again, they're getting stressed because of the level of the game, and they're coming in at half time, and at the end of the games you see even more of them, and you see that different side to them. So yeah, we've got some brilliant characters in the dressing room, and that's a big part of it. Bringing out your personality as a footballer is huge. you know, if you can bring out that level of expression and when you go onto the pitch, it gives you an opportunity to flourish. So, yeah, it's good.
Brilliant personalities, brilliant players as well. Get yourselves down there on Tuesday night at Hampton Richmond's ground. Carly, recently we obviously saw for the women's team a bumper crowd for their game at Bedford Sports. How much did that do for the women's team that day, and what could this do for the B team on Tuesday, getting a big crowd behind the boys?
Yeah, it's massive. Feeling that support, feeling part of something, you know, wanting to go and produce a performance for the people that are coming to support you is huge, and I think that drives you on. For the women's team in particular, it gave them a real sense of belief and a real kind of feel that they you know, they were really part of the club and what we're trying to do moving forward. And again with the B team, I think it will just help them in terms of, you know, really wanting to push on and produce good performances.
Picked your team yet?
No, not yet.
Selection headaches?
We'll leave it to the last minute so that they're performing in training.
Well, look, that is all we've got time for this week. Make sure, like I say, you get down there on Tuesday night, get behind Brentford B. It's going to be a massive game, and it's been an unbelievable season for Neil and the boys. Thank you all for joining me. Neil, I really do appreciate you coming down because I know you're a very busy man. And happy birthday, Shandon Baptiste, as well.
Happy birthday.
Red.